The enormous space station floated in the void like a brilliant gem. Larger than many moons, it shimmered with countless lights across its numerous levels. This structure served as headquarters for the Galactic Council, the mightiest organization in explored space. Within its grand chambers, a crucial event was about to unfold. Admiral Zexathar marched down the lengthy passages with deliberate steps. His dense armor echoed against the metallic surfaces. He represented the Vorten Empire, a warrior civilization that had dominated stellar warfare for more than 10 centuries. His kind resembled massive insects encased in rigid exoskeletons. Their vision organs were pitch black and emotionless, while their jaws contained razor-sharp mandibles capable of severing reinforced metal. The Admiral felt deeply irritated. Over recent weeks, the Council had intercepted peculiar communications from an unknown civilization. These beings identified themselves as humans, originating from an insignificant sector labeled Sol. These humans desired discussions regarding commerce and harmony. They aspired to enter the galactic community as equals. This notion made Admiral Zexathar scoff with contempt. Humans meant absolutely nothing. Their spacecraft were minuscule and sluggish. They relied on outdated fusion propulsion that barely functioned. The Admiral had reviewed the intelligence files. Human vessels measured merely hundreds of meters in length. His personal command ship stretched 50,000 meters and possessed planet-destroying capabilities. He stepped into the magnificent council hall. The chamber was immense, crowned by a transparent dome displaying the cosmos beyond. 12 distinct alien civilizations occupied positions around a circular arrangement. Each civilization had controlled portions of the galaxy for countless millennia. They were the undisputed masters of space, fully aware of their supremacy. The crystalline delegate sat to his left. They resembled animated diamonds producing melodious tones during communication. Their vessels were constructed from sentient crystal capable of self-repair when harmed. They had been extracting asteroid resources and constructing orbital cities since before humans discovered fire-making. Opposite them resided the Psionic Confederation. These entities lacked physical forms. They existed as conscious mind energy radiating violet luminescence. They possessed the ability to perceive thoughts across stellar distances and manipulate matter through mental force alone. To them, humans appeared deaf and sightless like lower animals. The Aquatic Union dispatched their envoy within a liquid containment chamber. The fish-like being drifted inside, its respiratory organs pulsing rhythmically. Their civilization inhabited the profound ocean depths of water-covered planets and commanded vessels that navigated space like swimming through currents. They considered air-breathing civilizations feeble and intellectually inferior. Admiral Zexathar assumed his position at the strategic planning table. His tone was gravelly and harsh when he addressed the assembly. Fellow council representatives, we have convened to address the human situation. These emerging creatures have transmitted communications for 3 months. They seek commercial relations with us. They desire recognition as our peers. Multiple aliens produced vocalizations signifying amusement in their respective languages. The crystalline being resonated like a chiming bell. The psionic creature flashed vivid purple. Even the aquatic representative in its enclosure generated bubbling sounds. Peers, remarked the reptilian ambassador. His species resembled giant lizards possessing 4 limbs. We have examined their fleet composition. They are playthings compared to our armadas. A single one of our destroyers could eliminate their complete space force. Their technological advancement belongs to prehistoric eras, contributed the machine collective spokesperson. This individual was an automaton crafted from silver metal with crimson luminous optical sensors. They continue utilizing chemical propellants to escape their planetary gravity. They possess no protective barriers, no directed energy armaments, no instantaneous interstellar communication. They are primitive beings who recently learned atmospheric flight. Admiral Zexathar inclined his massive head in agreement. Indeed, yet they persist in transmitting messages. They conduct themselves as though they merit a place alongside us. They fail to comprehend their insignificance. The council chamber grew quiet. Beyond the transparent walls, they observed the great military fleets of 12 civilizations. Millions of spacecraft maintained perfect geometric arrangements surrounding the station. Each vessel represented a masterwork of lethality and devastation. Some possessed the capability to fracture moons into fragments. Others could vaporize the water reservoirs of entire planets. The hive mind representative spoke subsequently. This creature appeared as a colossal ant with 6 appendages and wings. Behind it stood numerous smaller ants sharing unified consciousness. The humans lack collective neural structure. Each individual processes independently. This renders them ineffective and disorganized. They cannot coordinate like a properly evolved species should. They engage in internal conflicts. I have examined their historical records, stated the energy being from the plasma empire. This alien consisted of animate flame-shifting colors during vocalization. They have experienced over 200 military conflicts on their home planet. They terminate each other for territorial sections smaller than our waste disposal sites. They are aggressive and primitive. Admiral Zexathar rose to his feet. His armor captured the illumination and gleamed like obsidian. Then we possess complete consensus. These humans require education in proper respect. They must understand who governs this galaxy. He activated a 3-dimensional projection in the chamber's center. It displayed the Sol system with its modest yellow star and 9 orbiting bodies. Earth appeared minuscule and azure like a marble suspended in darkness. I suggest we transmit a communication they will comprehend. We offer them a selection. They can become our servants, our enslaved workforce, our domesticated creatures, or they can face extinction. Direct and efficient. The other aliens vocalized sounds of concurrence. The crystalline beings resonated like musical instruments. The automaton's optical sensors intensified. The aquatic creature swam in agitated patterns. How much time do we grant them to respond? Inquired the Void Walker. This alien appeared so peculiar that observing it caused visual discomfort. It seemed composed of animate shadow with stellar bodies for optical organs. 3 days, declared Admiral Zexathar. That exceeds what they merit. If they decline, we assemble our fleets and demonstrate genuine power. The Council voted. The decision was unanimous. Every civilization agreed that humans needed instruction. They would dispatch the ultimatum without delay. As the assembly concluded, Admiral Zexathar felt satisfaction. Shortly, another undeveloped civilization would submit before the Council's dominance. The humans would join thousands of other species serving as laborers and enslaved populations throughout the galaxy. He remained completely unaware that everything was about to transform. The communication was transmitted within 60 minutes. It traversed space faster than light, transported by quantum transmitters capable of reaching across the galaxy in seconds. The language was direct and unambiguous. To the human species of Sol system, you must submit to the governance of the Galactic Council. You must relinquish your armaments and your sovereignty. You must serve us according to our commands. You possess 72 hours to comply. If you resist, your species will face elimination. This is not a discussion. This is a declaration of reality. Choose prudently. The Council representatives returned to their accommodations. Content with their actions, they initiated planning for the celebration that would follow humanity's capitulation. No one could answer that question. Over the following weeks, the galaxy began to change in ways no one had expected. Without the Council's iron rule, old conflicts that had been suppressed for centuries began to emerge. Some species tried to claim territory that had once belonged to stronger races. Others simply hid, afraid that any action might draw humanity's attention. Trade routes that had existed for thousands of years collapsed as merchant ships refused to travel through space that might bring them close to human territory. Entire star systems declared independence from their former masters, knowing that the old powers no longer had the strength to stop them. But the strangest thing was what did not happen. Many alien leaders expected humanity to begin expanding, to start claiming worlds and building an empire. After all, they had proven they possessed the power to conquer the entire galaxy in a matter of days. Instead, Earth remained silent. Human ships continued to patrol their solar system, but they made no aggressive moves. They did not send invasion fleets or demand tribute. They simply existed, like a sleeping giant that no one dared to wake. Some brave alien merchants tried to approach Earth with offers of trade. They found human patrol ships waiting for them at the edge of the system. The encounters were polite but firm. Humans would trade knowledge and technology, but only on their terms. No alien vessel was permitted to approach Earth itself. A few species sent ambassadors with offers of alliance, surrender, or tribute. These messages were acknowledged but not answered. It was as if humanity had moved beyond the need for normal diplomacy. The most disturbing reports came from deep space explorers. Ships that ventured too far from known trade routes reported encountering human vessels in places where no ship should exist. These encounters always followed the same pattern. The human ship would appear without warning, observe the alien vessel for a few moments, then vanish as mysteriously as it had come. It became clear that humanity was watching everything. They had eyes and ears throughout the galaxy, monitoring every major civilization, every military movement, every political decision. But they remained silent observers, never interfering unless someone made the mistake of threatening Earth. 6 months after the battle, a young Vorton explorer made a discovery that changed everything. On a dead world at the edge of the galaxy, she found ancient ruins covered in strange symbols. The structures were millions of years old, built by a race that had vanished before most current civilizations had even evolved. The symbols told a story of beings who had come from beyond the stars, beings who could bend reality to their will. Beings who had shaped the early galaxy and then disappeared, leaving only warnings for those who would follow. The explorer's translation of the final inscription sent shock waves through every remaining government. The first ones return when the young children have grown too proud. They come not as conquerors, but as shepherds to guide the flock back to the proper path. Fear not their power, for it is not meant for destruction. Fear only your own arrogance, for that is what draws their attention. The inscription was signed with a symbol that made the explorer's blood run cold. It was the same mark that appeared on the hull of the Prometheus. As this news spread across the galaxy, a terrible understanding began to dawn on the alien races. Humanity had not suddenly developed impossible technology. They had not discovered new scientific principles or built weapons beyond comprehension. They had come home. The beings who had ruled the galaxy in its youth, who had disappeared into the void between stars, who had been watching and waiting for the right moment to return. The humans were not newcomers to the galactic community. They were its creators. And now, after millions of years of exile in the dark between realities, they had returned to find their creation ruled by children who had forgotten their place in the cosmic order. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of conquest and empire was over. The age of careful, respectful coexistence had begun. And somewhere in the solar system, Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching the stars and smiling quietly. Humanity had finally come home. None of them conceived that humans might refuse. None of them conceived what would occur if they did. The communication from the Galactic Council reached Earth during nocturnal hours. The quantum receiver buried within Swiss mountain depths began displaying crimson alert signals. Computer displays filled with alien characters that gradually converted into human language. Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen was resting in her quarters when the crisis alarm awakened her. She had anticipated this day for 5 years, ever since Earth's deep space sensors initially detected alien vessels observing them from the outer solar system. She dressed rapidly and proceeded through the subterranean passages to the command center. The United Earth Defense Command was constructed inside a mountain for sound reasons. If aliens chose to assault Earth from orbital positions, this facility would be among the final to collapse. The barriers were fabricated from the most resilient materials humans could produce. The computer systems were protected against every weapon type they could envision. Admiral Chen entered the primary control chamber. Dozens of officers from various nations worked at their stations. The room remained quiet except for the gentle humming of machinery. Everyone understood something significant was occurring. General Martinez from the Space Marines stood when she entered. He was a large man with facial scars from previous battles. Beside him stood Admiral Petrov from the Russian Space Fleet. His silver hair and grave expression showed he had witnessed numerous conflicts. "Admiral," said General Martinez, "the communication arrived 20 minutes ago. You need to examine this." Admiral Chen accepted the printed document and read it carefully. Her expression remained unchanged as she absorbed the alien language. The Council was offering humanity 3 options: become enslaved, become servants, or perish. They had 72 hours to choose. "Well," she said softly, "they certainly expressed themselves clearly." "This is insulting," said Admiral Petrov, striking his fist against the table. "They regard us like beasts, as though we are worthless. What are our alternatives?" inquired General Martinez. "Our fleets are distributed across the solar system. We possess perhaps 300 vessels total. The intelligence assessments indicate they control thousands." Admiral Chen walked to the large window overlooking the command center. Below them, hundreds of personnel worked at computer stations. These were Earth's finest scientists, engineers, and military commanders. They had been preparing for this moment for years. "Gentlemen," she said, "let me share something about humans. We do not submit to anyone. Not to monarchs, not to deities, and definitely not to aliens who believe they possess the galaxy. She turned back to face them. Her gaze was firm and cold. 5 years ago, when we initially detected their reconnaissance ships, I initiated a classified project. We designated it Project Prometheus. We anticipated this day would arrive. We anticipated they would underestimate us. General Martinez appeared puzzled. Admiral, what nature of project? I possess authorization for everything we conduct here. Admiral Chen smiled for the first time since reading the communication. No, General, you do not. Only 5 individuals on Earth know about Prometheus. The President, myself, and 3 scientists. Everyone else believes we have been constructing conventional space vessels. She approached a secured computer terminal and entered an extensive password. The display showed files marked with the highest security classification. Images appeared of something resembling a vessel, but unlike any vessel the officers had ever observed. My God, whispered Admiral Petrov. What is that creation? That, said Admiral Chen, is what humans can accomplish when we cease following everyone else's conventions. While the aliens were monitoring our old fusion ships and ridiculing our simple technology, we were developing something else, something they cannot conceive. The vessel in the images was streamlined and black. It was smaller than Earth's largest warships, but something about it appeared menacing. The hull seemed to absorb illumination instead of reflecting it. Unusual markings covered its surface. How is this achievable? Asked General Martinez. Where did we obtain the technology? We did not obtain it from anywhere, said Admiral Chen. We created it ourselves. Humans have always excelled at one thing, gentlemen. We learn, we adapt, we discover survival methods that nobody expects. She closed the files and regarded both men. The aliens believe we are primitive because we employ fusion engines and metal ships. They believe technology means larger weapons and stronger barriers. They fail to understand that the greatest weapon is knowledge. Admiral Chen returned to the main communication station. The technician there awaited instructions. Sir, said the technician, what should we communicate to them? Admiral Chen considered for a moment. The aliens anticipated humans would be frightened. They anticipated begging and pleading. They anticipated Earth to capitulate without resistance. Send them this communication, she said. 3 words only, come and take. The technician typed the communication into the quantum transmitter. 3 words in simple English that would traverse space faster than light. Admiral, said General Martinez, they will bring their complete fleet here, thousands of vessels. Even with this new technology, can we genuinely combat them all? Admiral Chen examined the star charts on the wall. Earth was merely a tiny point in an immense galaxy filled with alien empires. For thousands of years, these aliens had ruled space. They had subjugated hundreds of planets and enslaved entire species. General, she said, they have been the apex predators for so long that they have forgotten what it feels like to be prey. They believe strength originates from quantities and large ships. They fail to comprehend what humans learned long ago. What is that, Admiral? It is not the size of the dog in the fight. It is the size of the fight in the dog. She turned to address the entire command center. Her voice carried across the chamber. People of Earth, she announced, the aliens have presented us with an ultimatum. They desire us to surrender. They desire us to become their enslaved workforce. I have transmitted our response. The chamber fell silent. Everyone ceased working and listened. In 72 hours, they will arrive here with their fleets. They will anticipate finding a terrified species ready to beg for clemency. Instead, they will discover something they have never witnessed before. They will discover humans who refuse to submit. She paused and looked around the chamber at all the faces observing her. Activate Project Prometheus. Transmit the recall signal to all our vessels. Bring them home. It is time to demonstrate to the galaxy what occurs when you threaten Earth. The command center erupted into activity. Officers rushed to their stations. Computer displays filled with data. Communication arrays began transmitting coded messages across the solar system. In space, human ships that had been scattered across dozens of worlds began turning toward home. But they were not the same ships that had departed Earth years ago. Each one had been upgraded with technology that did not appear in any official records. Admiral Chen walked to her private office and sealed the door. She opened a secure channel to a location that did not exist on any map. This is Admiral Chen. Authorization Omega 77. Begin final preparations. Our guests will be arriving shortly. The voice that responded came from somewhere deep in space, far from Earth. Understood, Admiral. Prometheus is ready. We will be waiting for them. Admiral Chen closed the channel and reclined in her chair. The next 72 hours would change everything. Either humanity would find its place in the galaxy as a free species, or they would perish fighting for that freedom. She preferred it that way. Humans had always been at their best when their backs were against the wall. Beyond her window, Earth continued to rotate in the darkness. It appeared peaceful and tranquil. The aliens would see a small blue world with primitive technology and weak defenses. They would be wrong about everything. 3 days had elapsed since humanity transmitted their response to the Galactic Council. Space around the Sol system was about to become extremely crowded. The initial alien ships materialized at the boundary of human space like shooting stars. One after another, thousands of vessels emerged from faster-than-light travel. The darkness between planets suddenly filled with the illumination of an invasion fleet that extended for millions of kilometers. Admiral Zexathar stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Deathbringer. Through the massive windows, he could observe the greatest war fleet ever assembled. Vessels from 12 different civilizations had united for one purpose. They would teach the humans a lesson about respect. The Vorten Empire had brought 400 of their finest warships. Each one was constructed like a flying fortress covered in thick armor and lethal weapons. The crystalline hegemony dispatched ships that resembled floating cathedrals made of living diamond. The Psionic Confederation brought vessels that seemed to be composed of pure energy and thought. "Status report," commanded Admiral Zexathar. His tactical officer, a younger Vorten with bright green eyes, checked his instruments. "Sir, we have 9,847 ships in formation. All weapons are prepared. All shields are operational. We are prepared for battle." The Admiral nodded with satisfaction. This was more firepower than had ever been gathered in one place. They could destroy entire star systems with this fleet. A few primitive humans would not be a problem. "What about their defenses?" he asked. "Sir, our long-range sensors show minimal activity in the Sol system. We detect some small patrol ships near the outer planets, but nothing significant. Earth's orbital platforms are still present, but they appear to be mostly civilian structures." Admiral Zexathar laughed, a harsh sound like rocks grinding together. "Of course, they are hiding. They recognize they cannot oppose us. Perhaps they will capitulate without a battle." The fleet began advancing toward Earth's solar system. Each ship was a masterpiece of destruction. The smallest destroyer was 3 times larger than anything humans had ever built. The largest dreadnoughts were mobile cities that could house millions of warriors. As they traveled deeper into human space, the alien commanders communicated with each other over secure channels. They exchanged jokes about human cowardice. They placed wagers about how rapidly the humans would surrender. The reptilian delegate, commanding a ship that resembled a giant metal serpent, transmitted a message to the Admiral. "Zexathar, this is almost anticlimactic. I was anticipating at least some resistance. My warriors are eager for combat." "Patience, old friend," the Admiral responded. "Perhaps the humans are planning something. It would not be the first time a primitive species attempted to surprise us." But as the hours passed, human space remained quiet. The alien fleet detected no major military buildup, no massive defensive formations, no desperate calls for help sent to other star systems. It seemed like Earth was simply waiting for the end. The fleet reached the orbit of Jupiter without encountering a single human warship. The gas giant looked peaceful and empty. Its moon showed some mining operations, but nothing that could threaten even the smallest alien vessel. "Sir," reported the tactical officer, "we are now entering the inner solar system. Still no signs of major human forces." Admiral Zexathar felt a strange unease in his stomach. Something was wrong. No species, no matter how primitive, would face certain destruction without at least trying to fight. Where were the human ships? Where were their defenses? "Scan everything," he ordered. "Every asteroid, every space station, every piece of debris. I want to know where they are hiding." The alien sensors were the finest in the galaxy. They could detect a single fighter craft from light years away. They swept through the solar system like invisible nets, searching for any sign of human military forces. The results were puzzling. There were indeed human ships scattered throughout the system, but they were exactly what the aliens expected. Small vessels with fusion engines and primitive weapons. Nothing that could threaten a council garbage scow, let alone a battle fleet. "Perhaps they really are as helpless as they appear," suggested the tactical officer. Admiral Zexathar was not convinced. His warrior instincts told him something was very wrong. In his long career, he had conquered dozens of worlds. He had fought against species much more advanced than humans. None of them had ever faced certain death with such calm silence. The fleet continued toward Earth. The blue and white planet grew larger in their view screens. It looked beautiful and peaceful, like a jewel hanging in the void. Orbital stations moved slowly around it like tiny moons. "Sir," called the sensor operator, "I'm detecting something unusual. What is it?" "There is an energy signature near Earth's moon. It is very faint, but it does not match our database of human technology." Admiral Zexathar ordered the main screen to focus on the area around Luna. At first, he saw nothing but empty space and the gray surface of Earth's natural satellite. There pointed the sensor operator. "Behind the moon, something is present." The Admiral enhanced the image. Slowly, a shape became visible in the moon's shadow. It was a ship, but unlike any vessel in the alien databases. The hull was completely black, so dark it seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The ship was only about 5 kilometers long, smaller than most alien cruisers. "What is that thing?" whispered the tactical officer. Before anyone could answer, the strange ship began to move. It emerged from behind the moon slowly, like a predator emerging from its hiding place. As it moved into the sunlight, the aliens could see its true shape. The vessel was sleek and angular with curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal. There were no visible weapons, no obvious engines, no communication arrays. It looked more like a piece of abstract art than a warship. "Sir," reported the communications officer, "we are receiving a transmission from the human vessel. Display it on the main screen." A human face appeared on the view screen. It was a woman with short gray hair and calm eyes. She wore a simple military uniform with no fancy decorations. This was Admiral Chen, though the aliens did not know her name. "Galactic Council fleet," she said in a clear, steady voice. "You are trespassing in human space. This is your final warning. Withdraw immediately or your presence will be considered an act of war." The alien bridge fell silent. Then Admiral Zexathar began to laugh. The sound spread to other bridges throughout the fleet. Shortly, thousands of alien warriors were laughing at the audacity of a single human ship challenging their mighty armada. "Human," said Admiral Zexathar when he could speak again, "look around you. Count our ships. We have 10,000 vessels to your one. You cannot possibly believe you can fight us." Admiral Chen's expression did not change. "Admiral, you have 30 seconds to begin your withdrawal. This is not a negotiation." The alien laughter grew louder. The reptilian commander sent a message saying this was the most amusing thing he had seen in centuries. The crystalline beings made musical sounds of amusement. Even the Cold Machine Collective found the situation entertaining. Admiral Zexathar checked his chronometer. He decided to play along with the humans' game. "Very well, human, I will count your 30 seconds. Then we will show you what real power looks like." He watched the time pass. 30 seconds. The human ship just floated there in space, looking small and helpless against the backdrop of 10,000 alien warships. "Your time is up," announced Admiral Zexathar. "Surrender now and we might let some of your species live as slaves." Admiral Chen's voice came back over the communication channel. It was still calm, still steady. But now there was something else in it, something that made the hair on the back of alien necks stand up. "You chose war," she said quietly. "So be it. Prometheus, you are weapons-free." The strange black ship suddenly came alive with energy, but this was not the familiar glow of fusion or antimatter. This was something completely different. The ship's hull began to shift and change, revealing weapon ports that had not been visible before. Energy readings spiked beyond anything the alien sensors could properly measure. Warning alarms began sounding on bridges throughout the Council fleet. "What is happening?" demanded Admiral Zexathar. His tactical officer stared at his instruments in confusion. "Sir, the energy readings make no sense. According to our sensors, that ship is generating more power than our entire fleet combined, but that is impossible." Admiral Zexathar felt a cold fear creeping into his heart. For the first time in his long military career, he was looking at something he did not understand, something that made his warrior instinct scream warnings. "All ships," he commanded, "prepare to fire. Target that vessel. Maximum firepower." 10,000 alien warships turned their weapons toward the single human ship. The combined firepower could have shattered moons and boiled oceans. Enough destructive force to end civilizations was about to be unleashed on one small vessel. But Admiral Zexathar could not shake the feeling that he had made a terrible mistake. The first minute of the battle would be remembered across the galaxy for 1,000 years. Admiral Zexathar gave the order that sealed his fate. "All ships, open fire. Destroy that human vessel." 10,000 alien warships unleashed hell itself. Antimatter torpedoes streaked through space like falling stars. Plasma beams hot enough to melt planets carved lines of fire across the darkness. Particle cannons that could crack asteroids in half focused their fury on the single black ship. The combined attack was beautiful and terrible. It lit up the solar system brighter than the sun. Energy weapons of every color imaginable converged on the Prometheus. The firepower was enough to destroy entire fleets, to burn worlds to ash, to end civilizations. The human ship did not try to dodge. It did not run or hide. It simply waited as destruction came toward it. Then something impossible happened. A barrier appeared around the Prometheus, but it was not like any shield the aliens had ever seen. It did not glow with energy or spark with electricity. Instead, it seemed to bend space itself. The barrier looked like looking through water, making everything behind it wave and ripple. The alien weapons hit the barrier and simply disappeared, not reflected, not absorbed, not blocked. They vanished as if they had never existed at all. Antimatter torpedoes that could level mountains touched the strange field and were gone. Plasma beams that burned at 1,000,000 degrees reached the barrier and ceased to be. "Impossible," whispered Admiral Zexathar. His tactical officer stared at his instruments with wide, frightened eyes. "Sir, our weapons are not getting through. They are not even being stopped. They are just gone." Admiral Chen's voice came over the communication channels, calm as still water. "You chose this path. Now face the consequences. Prometheus, you may begin." The human warship changed. The black hull started to glow with a soft silver light that seemed to come from inside the metal itself. New weapon ports opened along its sides, revealing technology that made no sense to alien eyes. A single beam of silver light emerged from the front of the Prometheus. It was thin as a pencil and moved faster than light itself. The beam did not travel through space in the normal way. It simply appeared wherever it was aimed, ignoring distance and time. The beam touched Admiral Zexathar's flagship, the mighty Deathbringer. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. The massive dreadnought continued to float in space, its weapons still firing, its crew still alive. Then the Deathbringer simply stopped existing. There was no explosion, no flash of light, no debris field. The ship that had been 50 kilometers long and housed a crew of 100,000 warriors was just gone. Where it had been, there was only empty space and scattered molecules. "What happened to the flagship?" screamed the reptilian commander over the communication network. "Where is Admiral Zexathar?" No one could answer because no one understood what they had just seen. The most powerful warship in the Vorten fleet had been erased from reality like writing wiped from a board. Panic spread through the alien fleet faster than their communications could carry it. Ship captains who had never known fear in their lives suddenly felt terror creeping into their hearts. This was not battle as they understood it. This was something beyond their comprehension. The Prometheus began to move, but it did not use engines or thrusters. Instead, it seemed to fold space around itself, appearing and disappearing throughout the alien formation like a ghost made of death. Each time it materialized, that terrible silver beam reached out to touch another council ship. Each time, another vessel ceased to exist. Battle cruisers that had conquered star systems disappeared without a trace. Carriers that housed thousands of fighters were erased from the universe. Dreadnoughts built to last for centuries were gone in an instant. The alien commanders tried everything they could think of. They ordered their ships to spread out to make themselves harder to target. The Prometheus simply appeared in the middle of their formations and continued its work. They tried to ram the human ship with their fastest vessels. The attacking ships passed right through the Prometheus as if it was made of shadow and light. The Psionic Confederation attempted to assault the human vessel with their mind powers. Their psychic warriors reached out with thoughts sharp as knives, trying to crush the minds of the human crew. Instead, they encountered something that burned their consciousness like touching the surface of a star. Screams echoed across the mental networks as entire psionic crews collapsed. Their minds shattered by contact with something beyond their understanding. The machine collective tried to hack into the human ship's computer systems. Their most advanced artificial intelligences reached across space with electronic tendrils, seeking to take control of the enemy vessel. They found nothing. The Prometheus did not seem to have computers or networks as they understood them. It was as if the ship operated on principles that made no sense to any known form of technology. In the second minute, 3,000 alien ships had been destroyed. In the third minute, another 4,000 disappeared. The greatest armada in galactic history was being methodically erased by a single vessel that seemed to exist outside the normal laws of physics. some alien ships tried to flee. They discovered that their faster-than-light drives would not work. The Prometheus had somehow locked down the entire solar system, trapping them with a predator they could not fight or understand. The crystalline hegemony's remaining ships gathered together and tried one final desperate attack. They combined their power into a single focused beam that could cut through the cores of planets. The energy lance struck the human ship directly. The attack passed through the Prometheus without effect, as if the vessel existed in a different dimension entirely. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos and terror that filled the communication channels. Her words were like ice in the veins of every surviving alien. You wanted to see our warship. You wanted a demonstration of our power. This is what humanity has become. While you played at being gods among the stars, the Prometheus began to glow brighter, that silver light spreading along its hull like liquid metal. The ship seemed to grow larger without actually changing size, as if it was expanding into dimensions that eyes could not see. We touched the void between realities and learned its secrets. We bent the laws of physics to our will, not through conquest, but through understanding. We became something more than flesh and metal and simple energy. The few remaining alien ships, less than 1,000 now, clustered together in a desperate defensive formation. They poured every weapon they had left into a final attack on the human vessel. Energy enough to crack continents flowed toward the Prometheus. The human ship ignored the attack completely. The alien weapons could not touch something that existed partially outside normal space and time. You wanted to see our demonstration? Admiral Chen continued, her voice now echoing with strange harmonics that hurt alien ears. Here it is. The Prometheus began to pulse with that silver light, brighter and brighter until it outshone Earth's sun. The light was not painful to look at, but it carried a sense of vast, incomprehensible power. This is your lesson. This is your warning. This is your future if you continue to threaten humanity. The light exploded outward from the human ship, not as fire or energy, but as something that changed the very nature of space around it. The wave of silver radiance expanded in all directions, moving faster than light itself. Every alien ship touched by the light simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not vaporized, not torn apart. They were simply edited out of reality as if they had never been built, never been crewed, never been sent to threaten Earth. In 4 minutes, 10,000 alien warships and their crews were gone. The greatest military force in galactic history had been erased by a single human vessel that operated on principles beyond alien understanding. The Prometheus hung alone in the void, its hull returning to that light-absorbing black. The solar system was quiet again, except for the gentle movement of planets in their orbits. Admiral Chen's final message went out across the galaxy, carried by means that no alien scientist could explain. The demonstration is complete. Remember this lesson well. Humanity sought peace. You chose war. These were the consequences. The age of alien dominance over the galaxy had ended in exactly 4 minutes. 3 days after the battle, the galaxy began to understand what had happened at Earth. The message arrived on every major world at exactly the same time. It did not come through normal communication channels or quantum transmitters. Instead, it simply appeared on every screen, every display, every communication device across thousands of star systems. No one could explain how this was possible. The message was simple. It contained video footage of the battle from multiple angles, showing the complete destruction of the Council fleet in perfect detail. Along with the images came Admiral Chen's final statement. On the Vorten homeworld, the Imperial War Council watched the footage in absolute silence. These were warriors who had conquered hundreds of worlds, who had never known defeat. Now they stared at screens showing their greatest fleet being erased from existence in 4 minutes. General Thakmor, the oldest living Vorten warrior, spoke first. His voice was barely a whisper. "How many ships did we lose?" "All of them, sir," replied his aide. "Every vessel we sent to Earth. 400 of our finest warships gone." The general's claws scraped against the metal table. In his 300 years of life, he had seen the rise and fall of empires. He had watched entire species bow before Vorten might. But he had never seen anything like this. What of Admiral Zexathar? No trace, no survivors, no debris. It is as if they never existed. On the crystal worlds of the hegemony, the Harmonic Council met in emergency session. These beings of living mineral had existed for millions of years. They had seen the birth and death of stars. But the footage from Earth showed them something that challenged everything they thought they knew about the universe. The prime crystal, eldest of their race, resonated with deep, mournful tones. The humans have touched something beyond our understanding. They have found power in the void between realities. What should we do? Asked a younger crystal being. We pray they are merciful, came the reply. Across the galaxy, the same conversation was happening on every world. Military leaders who had spent their lives planning conquest now spent their time planning how to avoid humanity's attention. Political councils that had ruled star systems for thousands of years suddenly found themselves powerless. The psionic confederation's collective mind was in chaos. The mental screams of their warriors who had tried to attack the Prometheus still echoed through their shared consciousness. Many of their strongest telepaths had been driven insane by contact with whatever intelligence controlled the human ship. The machine collective ran millions of calculations trying to understand the technology they had witnessed. Every simulation failed. Every analysis came back with the same result. Impossible. But the most important meeting was happening on a small moon in neutral space. Representatives from the 12 council races had gathered in secret. They came in unmarked ships, hiding from their own people as much as from humanity. The meeting room was simple and bare. No grand decorations, no symbols of power, just a circular table where the rulers of the galaxy sat like frightened children. The reptilian emperor spoke first. His forearms trembled as he gestured toward the center of the table where a hologram showed the Earth system. We have received reports from our deep space scouts. Human ships are moving throughout their solar system, but they are not the ships we have seen before. They are using the same technology as the vessel that destroyed our fleets. How many? Asked the Aquatic Union's representative. We do not know. Our scouts cannot get close enough to count them. Every time one of our ships approaches the Sol system, it is discouraged. The Void Walker's representative, a being of living darkness, spoke in a voice like wind through empty space. Discouraged. The human ships appear near our vessels and simply wait. They do not threaten or attack, they just watch. Our crews report feeling overwhelming terror, as if they are being examined by something vast and incomprehensible. The machine collective's delegate, a silver robot with glowing red eyes, processed this information. Analysis suggests the humans are not merely technologically superior. They have evolved beyond our understanding of what technology means. Silence fell over the group. These beings had ruled the galaxy for millennia. They had divided up star systems like pieces of food on a plate. They had treated entire species as resources to be harvested. Now they were discussing how to avoid the attention of a single solar system. The crystalline representative rang with nervous harmonics. What do they want from us? According to their message, nothing, replied the reptilian emperor. They claim no territory beyond their own system. They seek no conquest, no empire. But they have made it clear that the old council no longer exists. Then what are we? Asked the Hivemind delegate.